I don't know how much school you remember, but I remember reading a story about a tale of two cities. It was about a city of the haves and a city of the have-nots. And then they clashed and bad things happened. Now, I don't want to say the city that has is much better because they struggle too, but the have-nots, they've been bad for a hot minute. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you know who I'm talking about. And if you saw the game Sunday, ooh wee. Enter in Sports Illustrated's newest writer, Danny Thompson.
Alex, my
How you
friend, what's
doing,
going
my
on, my
brother?
friend? I'm glad Sunday's
Man,
coming. I'm glad Sunday's on its way.
you over it?
That's for sure. Oh, I'm over it. I mean, the thing is, I said my piece on my show on Monday night, and I had to let it go. At some point, you get used to it. It's kind of numbing at some point.
I didn't
So,
think Dan Quinn could top 28-3, but hey, he said, hold my L.
I mean, listen. I mean, it is what it is. Don't worry, Tampa's got theirs coming too. Don't worry. But we'll continue.
With that being said, I want to talk about a surprise to an old team that nobody expected to happen, who just happens to be the monsters of the Midway. Enter in Eddie BW Ben Wazer.
How's it going,
How
Alex? How you
you
doing tonight?
doing, sir?
I'm doing just fine.
First
Happy to
time
be
on
2
the
and 0.
carousel. I want to welcome you. I want to welcome you to the debate. Now, I didn't mean to give you Danny Thompson, but you know what? Go big or go home.
I like it.
Gentlemen, you know the rules. 2 minutes apiece, no F bombs. Try to avoid low blows, but I mean, this one's kind of personal. After Danny goes first, because I believe he's on the road. You're going to Chicago, correct?
You guys coming to Atlanta?
Yeah, it's in Atlanta.
Correct? You're going to Chicago?
No, we're going to Atlanta.
Oh, Chicago's
He's got
on
the ball. He's got the ball first. No onside kicks, though. No onside kicks,
Fair
man. No
enough.
onside kicks.
I mean, I'd still end up with it because my team knows how to do them. So
Mine does too. We just can't recover them.
Hey. So the visiting team will go first. After that, the home team will go. Gentlemen, are we ready?
let's
Let's
do it.
go.
Visiting team, go.
All right. So first off, it's pretty obvious. Anybody watching has seen that Mitch hasn't played a full game yet. But week 1 comes out, finishes the game real nice, something the Falcons still haven't figured out how to do. And then week 2 comes out with a very strong start. Yeah, he had a couple picks, and I'll get to that. But at the end of the game, he didn't really need to throw the ball because he had David Montgomery slamming it up the middle on that weak defense that the Giants had. And that brings me to point number 2. All the running backs going down getting hurt, and don't get me wrong, when I saw Montgomery hit the ground, I was scared. But then he gets up and comes out and shows everybody why the Bears thought so highly of him when they drafted him last year. And the O-line, much improved from last year. It looked like Nagy at times was starting to get out of his own way with the play calling, and that's something that any team playing the Bears needs to be afraid of. And remember how I said I'd talk about those picks that Mitch threw? Well, look at who he was targeting on those. Allen Robinson. Now, sure, he hasn't been extended yet, but he's still going to keep fighting for those balls, and he's still going to be old reliable for Mitchell Trubisky whenever he gets in a hard spot. Because let's face it, even if he doesn't sign an extension, his play is going to help him in free agency if that's the route he goes. And, oh, by the way, the Bears can still franchise tag him. But let's say that that doesn't work out. Let's say something happens to Robinson. He decides to sit out because he's not getting the money he wants. Cole Kmet showed up. He showed why, even with a stacked and full, expanding, exploding tight end room, the Bears thought enough of him to use their first pick this draft on Cole Kmet. And then Darnell Mooney, a rookie, making an impact, scoring a touchdown. You can't do anything to stop that. You got too much to worry about. Mitch, all he has to do is enough. And one last thing, Robert Quinn, he wasn't there week 1. What did he do on the first drive of week 2? Strip sack, and it leads to a Bears field goal.
He's dropping facts. Danny, I don't have to tell you. Do what you do, my brother. You're
Well, it's good to know that Mitch Trubisky actually hasn't played a full game because no one knows when the last time Mitch Trubisky actually played a full game. You go through 3 quarters in Detroit and you score, 3 points in that entire game? And let's be honest, last week when you beat the Giants, because Saquon Barkley was out, so the Giants really had no offense. Now Chicago goes down to Atlanta to take on one of the highest scoring teams in the NFL. Remember, You played against the Giants and you played against the Lions without Kenny Golladay. Now you're going against three guys that have 100 yards in the game already once this season, and Russell Gage is actually the second leading receiver of the Falcons, and he's the third leading receiver, the third target on the team. Not to mention, Hunter Hurst hasn't really had his big breakout game yet. Atlanta scores points, so let's not get that part twisted. Now, Atlanta's defense, it is suspect, but your quarterback play is also suspect. It could be Daniel Orton, it could be Kyle Orton, it could be Randy Orton at quarterback. It really doesn't matter at this point in time. Dave Montgomery doesn't scare me because remember, in week 1, it was Chris Carson, and week 2, it was Ezekiel Elliott, and neither one hit 100 yards. So I'm not worried about Dave Montgomery, and really Atlanta has something to prove. Remember, Atlanta started 1-7, and everybody was on the line about Dan Quinn and his job. Atlanta goes 6-2. It always somehow happens in Atlanta when everything goes wrong and Dan Quinn seems like he's going to lose his job. Atlanta somehow learns how to tackle. This is the week to do it. Remember, that Chicago might have Allen Robinson, but you really can't name any other wide receiver in that team. And against a poor secondary, they're going to double Allen Robinson. Cole Kmet, I'm not worried about. The only thing I am worried about is onside kicks. So unless the Bears have Young Hoiku, who has recovered the last 3, the Falcons have covered the last 3 offensive onside kicks. So unless he's kicking for your team on onside every single time, I can't see the Bears winning this game. On top of that, you scored 16 points against the Giants without Saquon Barkley, and it really scored 21 points because the Lions don't know how to catch anything in the final quarter. You should.
Gotta mute you. Now, Ben, I'll be honest. He hit you with the RKO out of nowhere, bro. You got to do something about that. So, 45 seconds, retort.
Hey, I'm not going to lie. I'd rather be lucky than good. And the Bears have been very lucky this year. Not just winning games, but avoiding that injury bug that is plaguing the league right now. And you brought it up, so I'm going to throw it at you. Talk about a come on man moment. Are you kidding me? NFL professionals don't know how to get a ball that's on the ground on an onside kick. That's something you learn in Pee Wee, high school. And let's not forget, want to talk about this luck thing? 440-1. That's the record of teams that score 39 points and have no turnovers in a game. That one is the Atlanta Falcons. How do you screw that up? It's because you can't finish a game. Mitch didn't have to do anything to finish last week. This week, he might be up for a repeat performance.
Bro, he trying to say y'all don't know how to finish. What y'all can't keep your girlfriends in ATL or something? Bro, get him.
Well, I can understand that, but here's the one thing. The Bears can't score points. And what can the Falcons do? They score a lot of them. Remember, we did score 39 points last week with not one single turnover. They scored 25 points against Seattle, and it would have been 32 if Matt Ryan wouldn't have thrown the ball almost 50 yards downfield, down by 14, trying to get points. The Bears have one issue, and they've had this for years, and every Bear fan knows this. If you get into a score fest, the Bears can't hang. They won't be able to hang. Atlanta has talent on all sides of the ball. The magic number of this game is 28. Because if Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons can put 28 points on the Bears defense, which is one of the better defenses in the league, guess what? Atlanta walks out with their first win of the season. The Bears go back down to 2-1. And guess what? You're going to start looking for Nick Foles instead of Mitchell Trubisky.
Ooh, hey. You know what? This deserves a third round, but we're not going to be able to do it. Tale of two cities. Chicago meets Atlanta. Why do I get the feeling this is going to come down to the last minutes? Welcome to the Carousel. Special thank you to Mr. Danny Thompson taking time out of his busy schedule, writing them articles for Sports Illustrated. Either you're on or you're off.
Carousel, yeah. Carousel, yeah. Carousel, this the Carousel. On or you're off, either you're on or you're off, either you're on or you're off. What? Knock 'em out. Carousel, yeah. Carousel, yeah. Carousel, this the Carousel. On or you're off, either you're on or you're off, either you're on or you're off.